Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. We are people of many ages, histories, genders, bodies, identities, and beliefs, who are connected by a shared commitment to our mission to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. My name is Paul Weston. I have exactly lost 1 inch in the 70-plus years since I was a college kid, but still right in the middle of the average height for a man these days. Got too much hair and kind of an academic beard. That was my job for a few years. And my pronouns, of course, are he and him. And I'm happy to serve as the worship associate and to welcome you to this morning's service, where we take an inside view of several of the most important principles of the UU faith. If you are a visitor today, we bid you a special welcome and invite you to complete a connection card so you can learn more about the life of the church and to be added to our weekly newsletter. If you're joining us via our live stream, please say hello in the YouTube chat. And know that you too are welcome this morning. Please look around at the color-coded lanyards which some of your neighbors may be wearing, and be aware and respectful of their needs and boundaries. We are a congregation of all ages, which means we embrace all the noises and little interruptions our kids can bring into a Sunday morning. As always, people of any age are invited to grab a coloring book or fidget toy from the box just outside the doors there. And if you want to keep your hands busy, if you need more space to stretch, wiggle around, or just make a bathroom trip, you can also go anytime across the entryway into Fellowship Hall, where the service is being live streamed. Our Sunday morning faith development program is still on summer hiatus, but the classes will begin in a few weeks on September 20. However, as always, the nursery on the lower level is available for the little ones 5 and under. Everyone is invited for coffee, snacks, and conversation immediately after the service in Fellowship Hall, which I strongly recommend. And now I call us to worship with our chalice lighting. A flaming chalice has been one symbol of Unitarian Universalism for many decades, a symbol of hope, of reason, of the spark of the divine that shines in all of us. We invite those online to light a flame as we light ours with these words from Reverend Greg Pelley. And so we gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. As we light this chalice, may all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love. Here, may we be filled so that we may pour ourselves out into the world. Good. Now rise.
Juan's going to play a different song, and then we'll sing the opening.
Yeah.
We're doing an audible. Juan's going to play a song, then we'll sing the opening song.
Oh, okay. And now, rise in body or spirit for our opening song, number 1024, in the TU hymnal. When the
Thank you all. So glad you're here today. For those who don't know, my name is Reverend Beth Monholland. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm a short, middle-aged white lady with dark hair, and I have the deep honor of serving as the lead minister to this congregation. It's a joy to join Paul and Juan in welcoming you to today's service. If you haven't been here in a while, or in the month of August, you might not know that our theme for August is connections. We've been exploring connections in lots of fun ways. And today, we're exploring connections in a somewhat, all right, it's a literal, metaphorical way. It's all metaphor, everybody. But the literal connections to our bodies. And when I was thinking about this, I was reminded of a song I knew as a kid, and maybe some of you did as well, that helped you think about your bones and how your bones are connected. And so I invited some of the kids to sing the song with me, but that was, as always, an invitation. But if you're a kid or a kid at heart and want to sing, maybe you remember the song about your toe bone's connected to your foot bone's connected to your ankle bone's connected to your shin bone. Yeah, you know it. What you might not know about the bones and their connections is that song actually was written by James Weldon Johnson. How many of you know James Weldon Johnson? You probably do, but you didn't know that you did. James Weldon Johnson was an African-American poet, writer, activist, the executive director or the operational director of the NAACP from 1920 to 1930. James Weldon Johnson was born in 1871, just a few years after the end of slavery in America, and he went on to an illustrious career. He and his brother, Rosamond Johnson, his brother was a composer, and he was a writer. And they composed a fair number of songs together, including the one that you probably do know. They wrote "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which became the Black national anthem. It's in our hymnal, actually. But as a poet, part of what James Weldon Johnson did was mine the traditions of his African-American people, which included biblical traditions. And so in addition to "Lift Every Voice and Sing," he also actually wrote a song that came to be called "Dem Dry Bones," which goes, the toe bone's connected to the foot bone, and the foot bone's connected to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone's connected to the shin bone. Hear the words of the Lord. And the shin bone's connected to the knee bone, and the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, and the thigh bone's connected to the hip bones. Hear the words of the Lord. Hip bone's connected to the backbone, and your backbone's connected to your shoulder bone, and your shoulder bone's connected to your neck bone. Neck bone's connected to your head bone. Hear the words of the Lord. It's a fun song, but he wasn't just writing it so kids might learn some of the gazillion bones in their body. He was actually mining a biblical story. And we don't talk about the Bible too much in this church, but it is one of our sacred sources, a tradition that goes back millennia, and to which we are connected, and to which James Weldon Johnson, as an African American in this country, brought him and his people source of inspiration and strength. Because while the Bible in some of its passages, and certainly the white Christians of America, used their religion to enforce and to promote slavery, other people, like James Weldon Johnson and his African-American ancestors, were able to take that same Bible and find in it source of inspiration for their own freedom. And so in the Book of Ezekiel, does anybody know the Book of Ezekiel? There's very few biblical scholars in here, and that is okay. But the Book of Ezekiel is actually in the Jewish scriptures. And Ezekiel was a prophet during the time of the Jewish Babylonian exile, when the Babylonian Empire actually had taken over most of the then known world and destroyed Jerusalem and sent the Jewish people scattered across their empire into exile. And in that exile, in that separation from their heritage and their traditions and their people, many different prophets rose up across that diaspora to offer hope. And here is a weird is my take on it, everybody. A particularly weird prophecy that happened. So Ezekiel was this prophet in the Babylonian Empire, and he tried to tell his people to hold on to hope, to repent from their sins, and to get right with God. You know, some things that some people in America say to people. But here was the story that Ezekiel brought to them. He was following God, trying to do what God said was right. And God gave him a vision and said, Ezekiel, I'm going to bring you into this valley. Look and tell me what you see. What do you think Ezekiel saw, everybody? Not growing things, not a valley that was lush and flowing. It was a valley of dry bones. Millions and millions of dry bones, human bones, just scattered there. And God said, Ezekiel, what do you see? And Ezekiel said, I see a bunch of dry bones, God. They don't look too good. And God was like, preach to them. Tell them that there is still life in the world. Tell them there is still life in their bones. And Ezekiel was like, but isn't that lying to him, God? And God was like, just do it. And Ezekiel went, all right. And then he preached to the bones, those dry bones, and he said, there's life in you. You're not just dry bones. You have connections to each other. You have connections to life. And then nothing happened for a minute. And Ezekiel was like, I did it, God, but nothing happened. And God was like, no, tell them that they have connections to each other and to life, and that blood will flow through them and skin will form over them, and the breath of life will move in them. And believe it, Ezekiel. And Ezekiel was like, I'm trying to believe it, God, but they're a pile of dry bones, but I'll do it again. And he said, there is life in you, bones. There is life in you, and there is promise, and you just need to connect to each other and to the blood and to the breath. And lo and behold, the dry bones heard, and they listened, and the toe bones reconnected to the ankle bones, to the shin bones, all the way up to the head, and tendons and ligaments formed and skin formed. And then the breath of life itself moved, and people danced and sang. Because in the valley of dry bones, it wasn't just dry bones anymore. It was people connected to a past and to a future that had seemed impossible just moments before. Because as the bones are connected, so are we. How many of you read that when you were a kid? Not many. You see why I thought it was weird? I was like, what is this about? But here's the thing about stories. If we try to take them literally, they will always fail us. But the metaphor people have sometimes used to talk about life after death, the promise that we will rise again. That's one interpretation. But the other thing about stories, even when they are metaphors, it's important to remember their context. And remember what I told you. This was a people who had been shattered and scattered, who were in exile. And for them, those Jewish people in the Babylonian Empire, the story of the dry bones wasn't that, oh, God's going to raise us from the dead. It was that while we are scattered, while we may feel disconnected like a pile of dry bones, we still have each other. We still have our people. Salud and bless you. The context for them, for the Jews in exile, and not just them, the Jews across time, has been that the dry bones aren't the end of the story. And so can you see why James Weldon Johnson born to people who had been enslaved while living under the conditions of Jim Crow America, in an empire built on indeed dry bones. Why, for him and his people, mining the story of dry bones wasn't just about life after death, but just as for those Jewish people in exile would be about what can we do when we speak truth to power? What promises can we make real when we remember how deeply we are connected like the bones of our body? And so he wrote a song that's fun for kids of all ages to sing, but that was really about the promise of when we hear the word of the Lord, whatever name you might call the divine, in us and in others, then the dry bones will never be the end of the story. So sing it with me one more time. Should we go all the way up to our heads? The toe bone's connected to the foot bone, and your foot bone's connected to your ankle bone. Your ankle bone's connected to your shin bones. Hear the word of the Lord. And your shin bone's connected to your knee bone, and your knee bone's connected to your thigh bone, and your thigh bone's connected to your hip bones. Hear the word of the Lord. And your hip bone's connected to your backbone, and your backbone's connected to your shoulder bones, and your shoulder bone's connected to your neck bone, and your neck bone's connected to your head bone. Hear the word of the Lord. Good work, everybody. Now that we've connected to the bones of our bodies and to the stories of people, both ancient and near, let us connect to one another through our practice of spiritual generosity. Each week when we gather, we know that we make space for our griefs and gratitudes, our joys and sorrows. You are invited always to bring your whole self here, to not leave parts of who you are outside these doors. And so together we make space for lifting up and laying down those things that we need to in this hour. If there's a joy or sorrow you'd like shared aloud, we will read those later in the service. You can fill out a joy and sorrow card. You'll find them in the seats in your pews, or the ushers have them if you're joining us online, or here in the room and just prefer electronic communication. You can email us at joysandsorrows@uucuc.org. In this moment, though, we will sing our blessing song, May the Longtime Sun, and you'll be invited to come forward during that singing if you wish to the table here, or the table in the center back. There's bowls of water, and there's stones and petals. You can drop a stone for your sorrow and a petal for your joy, and know that they are held in those bowls of water as you are held in love in this community. And may this time of sharing lighten our burdens and increase our joys, if just for this hour. I invite you to breathe, and then one will play and we'll sing.
mission at this congregation by connecting day to day and week to week through the opportunities both within and beyond our walls. This means welcoming new members and engaging with the many opportunities offered through our faith development, congregational life, and social action councils. This morning, I want to highlight a few things that are all happening in the coming week. Registration for Sunday morning faith development classes has begun, and we encourage all families with kids from nursery age to high school to register now. Even if you can only attend occasionally, we welcome your families in participation. Sunday Faith Development for Kids will meet 3 times a month this coming year, with first Sundays designed to be all ages services. If you'd like to volunteer to work with our kids and youth, you can still sign up for that as well. We will be offering a Taste of Soul Matters on Sunday, August 30, next week at 1 p.m. If you are interested in joining a Soul Matters deep listening group in the coming year, this is a great opportunity to experience how the groups can deepen your ties to community and spiritual life. Registration for small groups to begin meeting in September or October is open now in Realm. And I checked that out, it is there, yes. And finally, on the subject of faith development, our new minister of faith development, Reverend Julian Soto, has officially begun working with us virtually for the next few weeks, and will be moving to Urbana in September. Mark your calendars for a meet and greet with Reverend Julian on September 12th at 11 a.m. Families, kids, faith development volunteers, all are encouraged to attend. Read more details about these and other events in our e-news and check out the full calendar of events in Realm. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real independence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. Our shared offering partner for the month of August is Urbana Bay Books to Prisoners, whose mission is to provide free books and promote education to people incarcerated in Illinois. You can give through Realm and via the online portal on our website, or if you are here in the sanctuary, the plate will be passed, and checks can be made out to UUCUC, and in the memo, put shared offering. Half of all non-pledge donations will go towards sustaining the work of this church, and the other half will go directly to the shared offering partner. When the music begins, the offering will be greatly accepted. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you. This is also the time to submit a written joy or sorrow.
Thank you all. And thank you all for your generosity, not just your generosity in sharing your financial resources during the offering, but for all the ways that you give to this congregation week in and week out. Thank you also for making space for our joys and sorrows. If you have a joy and sorrow you'd like shared aloud, you can still bring a card to me. You can also still email me. Just giving people a chance. But here are some of the joys and sorrows folks would like shared today. From Kiri, a joy for the generosity shown by those who brought produce at the service last week. Approximately 20 pounds of produce were donated after the service. That's amazing, you all. Yay for the harvest. Kiri and I've talked about this. Food is such a critical way we connect as people. And I'm grateful to Kiri for bringing that service back. So thank you. A joy from Alyssa. Today marks my 2-year yeet anniversary to my extremely useless uterus. Yay for recovering well. Yay. A joy from Wendy Graves. Our daughter and her family have moved from Charleston, South Carolina to Minneapolis, and we are thrilled that they are 5 hours closer. Yay for family. Speaking of moves and family, this is a joy from Janet Ravel Barrett, celebrating with Mark and Winvu this week as they become homeowners in Urbana. Yay! Our family is so happy to have them nearby. We look forward to many wonderful times ahead. And also on moving, it is the end of the month, right? This is a joy from Amanda Jane, Amanda Jane says that she and Mike are so grateful for all the help they had moving recently from CareCorps and Wendy and Fergus, Peggy and Todd and Jerry C. and Scott R., B and Sheila, Creel, Lynn and Sam, Veet, Brian M., Chris H. She also thanked me. And so to Amanda Jane and Mike, have fun unpacking boxes and getting settled. And we have one other joy here from Katie Goslin. Joy from the Goslin family. Brandon is coaching Sawyer soccer team, and they had their first game yesterday, and Sawyer scored 3 goals. Go Sawyer. And had some great defensive stops and passes. Joy for adults like Brandon, too, for being willing to oversee the chaos that is coaching a group of wiggly 7-year-olds. I mean, you all, there is nothing more joyful than watching 7-year-olds run around playing soccer. I'm just double checking I haven't missed anything. That is what folks wanted to share today. That was, it was mostly all joys today. That doesn't always happen, and it's okay. That if you have a sorrow, if you have a grief you're holding, and you needed to hold it silently, we hold it with you. That for all that we have spoken aloud, for all we're carrying in our hearts, I say thank you. And I'm going to invite us into a minute of silence. I will ring our singing bowl to begin, and in that silence, and I just invite you to let yourself be present to all that you are carrying and to all that you know is being held in this room. Lift Every Voice and Sing is a beautiful song. I almost had us all sing it today, but I decided I would instead share the actual lyrics, the melody so beautiful. But the words that James Weldon Johnson wrote back in 1927 are these: lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Nearly 100 years ago now, he wrote those words. 1927. 1927, I want you to imagine America in 1927. See if it sounds familiar. White supremacists marched literally in the streets. Police and extrajudicial police forces killed Black people in the streets with impunity. Voter restrictions were rampant, and literal robber barons, the billionaires of their time, controlled vast resources in America, while the majority of people went hungry, barely able to make ends meet, no matter how hard they worked. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us, full of the hope that the present has brought us. It can feel, when we talk about the realities of 100 years ago and we see how closely they mirror the realities of today, that there has been very few lessons learned, very little hope offered. I feel that a lot. Perhaps you do too. Perhaps you look at the coming election with looming anxiety, with fear, and rightly so. Perhaps you look at all of the causes that pour themselves into your inbox, asking you to donate to this and to that, to show up and march for this and for that, and you think, not again, not still this. The faith that the dark past has taught us can be hard to hold on to. It can indeed, when we look at history, when we look at the present, feel like we are dry bones in a valley of dry bones, and there is very little hope. But James Weldon Johnson was a Black man in 1927. He couldn't travel safely to most places in this country. And he said, lift every voice and sing. He said, stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed? Stony the road we trod. Hope gets crushed a lot on the stony, dark roads. I was reminded as I was preparing for this and focusing on the words of James Weldon Johnson of another African-American poet, one whose words we shared in a service here in April. Contemporary poet, a young man, I don't know, he's like 40. Oh God, I'm in my 50s and now I'm calling people in their 40s young. I'm there. But Clint Smith, one of my favorite poets, talking about when people say, we'll get through, I'm reminded of those who don't. He says, Dear reader, do not tell me I am bitter. It's just that I know that once all the dust has settled and the victory parades have been marched, not all of us will have survived. And when we're in the valley of dry bones, when we are feeling ourselves as a withered bone with no life in it, we have to hold the tension that these two African-American poets have to hold in their bodies every time they wake up and leave their house. James Weldon Johnson doesn't leave his house anymore, but you get what I'm saying. The tension that we are both living in the place that our fathers sighed for, and we will not all survive this time. In the valley of dry bones, the only thing that is going to get us through the despair and the grief and the rage, which are real and valid and vital and necessary, is remembering that it is not the only story, it is not the end of the story, that as dark as the days are, as hard as the lessons of the past, as bitter as the chastening rod, as James Weldon Johnson said, as heavy is the knowledge that the people we love won't necessarily survive this crushing time in which we live, that it's not just for us here and now, but for those who will indeed come after. We don't necessarily revive the bones, keep the connections alive just for us, just for here and now, just for the individuals we are. That makes us like the empire, like those billionaire robber barons who say more and more for me, instead of looking around and saying, my bones are connected to yours. I don't have my bones if you don't have who you are. And so we stay connected to each other through the grief, through the rage, through the despair, because that's what gives life to our bones. The speaking truth to power, naming the real realities, holding the stories of the most harmed and marginalized as just as true as any other story that gets told. The valley of dry bones is real, and so is the life, the breath and the blood that connects those bones together to the wholeness of the body that is all of us. And so we Unitarian Universalists, we considering to be Unitarian Universalists, whoever you are in this room and all the rooms where you are, we have to remember that we are connected to each other, connected to people we will never meet, not just through the blood and the bones of us, but through the values that say life matters. We as Unitarians hold that we do our work with love at the center, that it infuses what we do, not some passive feeling, but actions that say we are all surrounded by dry bones, and we will resist the forces of profit that say that's all that matters. And so we connect to each other in love by making justice real, by committing to transformation, transforming the systems in which we live and transforming our own selves. And we can only do that when we stay connected, when we remember when the lies of disconnection, the sin of separation is telling us, you don't matter, they don't matter, none of this matters, just give up, that people before us faced just as hard of times and did not give up. They still wrote things like lift every voice and sing, and they marched in the streets singing. They showed up at church singing. They showed up at the polls singing, and we are still doing that. breathing life into the dry bones. And so we breathe life into our own bones, into our own connections, when we stay connected to our humanity. When we can look at each other truly across our differences, as I've said many times, and say, I don't agree with you, but I know you're still a human. And I can at least honor your humanity as I honor my own. When we let our hearts stay tender, when we do let them break, when we cry and grieve for this world and for the people in it and for ourselves, when we stay human enough to care, even when that caring feels like it will crush us. You stay connected to your bones, to the human life, to all life, that breath that is in you and me, and in your cat, and in the cow, in the trees, in the river. We stay connected to life. And when we stay connected to our own humanity, to life, to, I call it, that divine spirit that is in us all, then we can more deeply stay connected to the communities, the circles of care to which we all belong. Here in this church, people named just today in our joys and sorrows, some of the ways they were just held in the last 2 weeks, that somebody showed up and packed a box for you, helped you move into a new home, helped you get one. That matters. Sometimes we think about saving the world, like Ezekiel prophesying and taking the miracle of dry bones becoming some living things again. That it has to be huge and big, but it doesn't. The real miracle is that we stay connected to each other. We help when and where we can. Because we can't change the whole world, but we can change here. We can affect the lives of the people around us. We stay connected to the circles of care, knowing that they ripple out and out, that they overlap. If we made a Venn diagram, remember a few weeks ago, those who were here, when we did the 6 degrees of separation, we're all connected. When we hold that, when we remember that, as we stay connected to our humanity, as we stay connected to each other, that's when the dry bones stand up and dance. We stay connected to life itself, resisting the forces that say death, that say destruction and despair are the end of this story. They are not. When we lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty, we are led into the light, and we become the light. Not just dry bones, but bones connected deeply to each other. I want to invite you to enter into a spirit of prayer with me to close today. Spirit of prayer, meditation, whatever that means for you. Close your eyes if you wish. Just soften them. Look around the room, whatever you need. To take a breath and be present. And then let us pray. Spirit of life and love, be with us and in us as we carry grief and as we carry rage, as we hold despair in our hearts for the valley of dry bones in which we find ourselves and this world. May the breath that moves in us, each inhale and exhale that pulls oxygen into our lungs, moves blood to our heart and to each part of us, be a reminder that our bones are all connected, that our bodies are connected, that our breath is one breath. May that breath of life keep us connected to both our pain and our hope. Not hope as some thin, flimsy thing that demands nothing of us, but the kind of hope that demands that we pick up a shovel and start digging the foundations that we need for a better world. May we be reminded here in the Valley of Dry Bones that there are many stories always being told, and that when we connect to what matters, which is each other, then we make a new story come true. Even if we cannot see it, even if we will not live it, the connections that we make now matter. In the hours and days to come, may that truth, that who we are and what we do matters, may that ring in us, may it sing in all of our bones until that song is the only song we know. May it be so, and amen. In the spirit of hope, in the spirit of love, I want to invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with me with all your hearts what I consider to be our anthem, number 1028, in our teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. may in your bones, your very wet, living bones, may you sing a song. May you feel that fire of commitment that calls you on and on into deeper connection to yourself, to each other, and to life. Let us close today with our chalice extinguishing words from Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. They're in your order of service, and they'll be on the screen. And we say together, we extinguish this flame